Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hi. I hope you stick around. Welcome to today's video, which is none other than my February reading wrap-up. February was a pretty good month for me. Short, but I had some good reads. I haven't been in the mood to read for like the past week, like after the winter storm. That was really disrespectful. Like, people know that a famous YouTuber is filming. They can't make noise. Anyways, after the snowstorm, I kind of just like got into a slump. I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood to read, and I still haven't been. I do want to try and start a new book today because I went book shopping, because what else would you do when you're not in the mood to read? You just go buy books. I'm hoping to like get back into reading this month, but whatever. I'll be talking about the 9 books that I read in February, and yeah, let's get into it. The first book that I read in February is Promise Me Sunshine, and this follows Lenny and Miles. And Lenny recently just lost her best friend to cancer, and she's kind of dealing with navigating that grief, and she just is very like lost in life, and she doesn't really know how to move on and go on with her life. She does a little nannying gig for this little girl, and then in comes Miles, who is the little girl's uncle, and it's kind of standoffish, grumpy at first, but then they start getting to know each other, and he kind of is like, I know grief and I know what I can do to help you through this. So he kind of helps her go through this grief and the loss of her best friend, and it sparks a romance. This was really beautiful. I loved all the themes in here. I think that the way that grief was dealt with and portrayed in this book was really accurate and good. I love a good romance that isn't just strictly like the romance and the smut and like a trope like fake dating, or like, you know, those more like fun tropes. I do love those, but I also love when there's like a deep emotional aspect to the story with like kind of a side of romance. The romance kind of just comes along with it, and that's definitely what this brought. I rated this a 4.25 stars, and it was really good. I would definitely recommend. So then after I read that, I decided it was time to finally start the Shatter Me series. I read Shatter Me, which if you haven't heard of this series, I'm sure you have. This follows Juliet, and she is kind of written off by society because she has a power where everything she touched seems to get hurt or die. She's held captive in kind of an insane asylum type thing because of this power. And meanwhile, this new government called the Reestablishment is starting to take over, and they want to eliminate people like her. So it is like a dystopian society mixed with some romance as you get into the series. I rated this one a 3.75. It was good. It was kind of just a good like setup to the story. There wasn't anything, you know, crazy going on. I think that kind of happens with the start of a series. You're kind of just getting introduced to the setting and plot and the characters. So it didn't wow me in any way, but it was enjoyable, very fast-paced. I read the first novella in the Shatter Me series, which was Destroy Me. This kind of takes place in the male main character's point of view, Warner, and I honestly don't remember much from this novella. They're like short, so you just like kind of feel like might as well read them, but also like what's the point? So that's kind of where I'm at with the novellas. I'm still gonna read them and continue to read them throughout, but I'm just kind of like, okay, just like more story, I guess. I rated it 3 stars. When it comes to talking about the Shatter Me series, I'm gonna try and keep it brief because I don't want to do any spoilers. So that's that. After that, I read the next book in the Shatter Me series, which was Unravel Me, and I really enjoyed this book. I think this is where the story really starts to pick up and things start to get more intense and interesting. I rated this one a 4.25 stars, and yeah, I really loved it. Again, I don't want to give too much away. Then after that, I got into the next novella in the series. There's 2 novellas in here. So the next one was Fracture Me, and this one follows Adam, which is like the first boy you meet in the series. and it follows his point of view, and I just like literally didn't give a shit. I rated it 2 stars because I am not Adam's biggest fan, and I think that the way that he spoke about Juliet and underestimated her in these 100 pages just like wasn't for me, and I did not like that. It only made me dislike his character even more, not that I ever really liked him in the first place. So that one just caused me some anger. Read Ignite Me, the next book in the Shatter Me series, and I rated this one a 4.75 stars. This one was really good. I blew through it so fast, and this is where like the romance starts to pick up a little more and the intensity, and you just watch Juliet really grow into herself, and she has this newfound like confidence. And I think that's something that I really love about this series, is that we see Juliet as this, you know, kind of damaged, hurt girl, and then we see her grow and accept who she is and use that to better herself, better society, confidence that she needs in her life. So this was great. The next book I don't have physically, but I finally read Daisy Jones and the Six. This is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, of course. This book follows an interview style. It's all told in interviews, and it follows this band called the Six, and it also follows Daisy Jones, and it's kind of like how they came together as a band, and it follows each of these characters. The narrator is interviewing each of the people in the band and in the industry, and having them tell their side of the stories of the trials and tribulations of life back then. Seems to be very loosely based off of Fleetwood Mac, and I loved this book. I rated it a 4.75 stars. It is definitely different than anything I've ever read before, but I loved it so much. I really like connected with these characters. You kind of like really feel for them emotionally, and so much happens in the book, and it's just very like real, I would say. Not that I've ever experienced the rock star life, but it felt very raw and emotional. I think it just portrayed a really realistic view on life and hardships and the struggles that you can go through and how you can come out of it in the end. The next book I read is a reread of my favorite series ever, Binding 13, which is book 1 in the Boys of Tommen series. I am working on my reread of the whole series. I think I'm going to try to just do 1 book a month and not just binge it all again, even though I want to. Obviously, 5 stars. I love this series with my whole heart. This book follows Johnny and Shannon, and they meet in a very unconventional, funny, meet-cute type of way. Shannon gets kind of bullied and tortured out of her old school and enters Tommen College, where she meets Johnny. It's so much more than a romance. It's so deep and dark, and all of these books, search up your trigger warnings. So many emotionally devastating and traumatic things happen in these books. These characters go through so much together, and it's like found family, and obviously it's romance, but you really connect with these characters. I mean, these are long books. Just really get to know them and feel for them and learn about them as people and watch them grow together. And it's just such a beautiful series, and I really would recommend everyone to read it. The last book that I read in February was The Favorites. This book was my 3rd 5-star of the year. This book follows Katarina and Heath, and they have known each other since they were children, and they both love figure skating. They are very talented figure skaters, and they are also figure skating partners. This one also includes some kind of interview style questions, which is nice. This is just a very scandalous, drama-filled book. It spans across years of these two characters finding their way back to each other and separating, and things getting in between them, all while in the spotlight of the figure skating world. This book was so great. I honestly didn't really expect much from it because I don't really give a shit about figure skating. I really don't. But it was just so much more than that. There were such beautiful quotes in here, and these characters were really lovely to follow. Experiencing all that drama in this world that I really know nothing about was really intriguing to me. There's so many moments where my jaw dropped, no way this person just did that. So this was so entertaining, so good. It will definitely like stick with me. I've been thinking about these characters since I finished this book. So those were all the books that I read in February, a pretty good reading month. I was going to do a March like TBR video, but since I'm in a reading slump, I don't know if it's the best idea to like force myself to read certain books. I kind of just think I should let the slump ride out, pick up what I want to pick up, and read along the way. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this February reading wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I mentioned today, or what was your favorite book of February. Thank you for watching.